Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? How's everybody doing this morning? JT here with another Xtrades FOMO live stream. Let's go. Let me get all my stuff set up for you guys. Make sure we can see everything. We're all good to go. All right, that looks solid there. Let me make sure. I just realized this morning that I did not have a pre-scheduled. I feel like I am streaming right now. Hang on, let me. Did anybody in the chat verify? I didn't realize I didn't have a pre-scheduled. Uh, Actually, here I know I can check it. YouTube stream set up, and I just want to make sure that what I've got going here is actually going out. So let me just check that real. It says we're live. Live Xtrades Venmo live stream. One watching. Okay. All right. Cool. We'll see how this goes then. Sorry, I thought I had scheduled all of them through. Oh, well, it's not the end of April anymore. Duh, it's May 1st. That's probably why I don't have a stream schedule. I hadn't set those up yet. Okay, well, I will get that rectified as soon as I possibly can. Let's dig in. Let's start talking about what we've got here showing in the markets. Let me go ahead and grab this too so I don't lose it. I want to make sure that I'm looking at kind of what's going to be the newest, latest, and greatest version of NTS as we dig through some of these charts and see what we've got going on. What's up, King Alpha? What's up, Navy Plum? What's up, New Trader? Good to see you all here. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Johns? Hope you're doing well. All right, let me make one more tweak here. Sorry on my end. Give myself a little bit of room there so I can see the chat. There we go. All right, I think we're ready. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 I didn't want to do that. Stop. Stop doing that. There we go. Okay. All right. I think I got everything figured out now. Sorry about that. What's up on target? Good morning. All right. So what are we looking at here on the markets, looking through the lens of ES futures? Looking at the daily chart here, I've been talking about this level a little bit. Once we break over that 55.61, we do kind of have still one more pretty key test here at this 56.55 level, but I think things are starting to show signs of moving back toward the upside, so things are looking good here. That being said, one thing I will kind of mention, I know I've mentioned this in the chats before, we saw some scenarios like this in 2022 where we had kind of a near-term downtrend and things broke out and then ultimately pulled back and made new low of the year. Not saying that's what's happening here. This is a very different scenario than 2022. But that being said, it's just something to be mindful of. Can't necessarily directly imply or expect that this will play out exactly the same as 2022. So, with that in mind, we got to just stick to the charts, right? So we have seen things break out to the upside. We had a couple of downtrends, valid downtrend lines that had kind of crisscrossed back here in March. And we did get a breakout above and a nice clean back test there yesterday of that kind of steeper trend line that did push things higher. Also caught the bullish momentum there on NTS. So nice confluence of trend and NTS right there that caught that bounce and sort of pushed things a little bit higher. But we are right up against another, I'd say, pretty decent confluence here at this 56.55 key NTS selling pressure. So we really need to kind of get the bulls engaged and get them to bring some volume in, I think, to break through that. 333 is also just overhead there, so if you want to be a little bit safer and wait for better confirmation that kind of all the noise has been cleared out of the way, I would watch for that 333 here on the daily as well. You're not really missing that much of the move to potentially have a much safer area of opportunity overhead. But all of that remains to be seen. Yeah, I agree, New Trader. I was really surprised to see things bounce after a pretty bleak GDP reading. It will definitely be interesting to see how our next quarterly GDP rating comes out. Because or reading, not rating, What's up, Unknown Reviews? Good morning. We'll take a look at team for you. Absolutely. Um, but going back to the GDP stuff, if we have a second quarter and a second quarter of GDP decline, that is technically a recession, so it will be here. Um, some people might call it a Trump session, and I think that would be a little bit appropriate, more appropriate than it would normally be. I would say because again, a lot of this is directly um, a reaction directly to what's going on with these tariffs and this trade war and all that sort of stuff. So, keep your eyes peeled for any, developing news or stories on that. I think, Trump is aware that um, right now, I would say his popularity and possibly how the rest of his presidency is going to play out is very much on the line with him being able to quote unquote, make some deals. Um, but they got to get done. They got to get signed. We need to, wait to hear that these deals are confirmed. We've already seen multiple instances of the administration kind of trying to play coy with their words and allude to things that aren't actually taking place in order to try to stabilize the markets a little bit. So, again, we've got to be very methodical and above all else, just stick to the charts. But I will say, don't be surprised if you have plans and analysis that just don't play out the way they normally would. And if that happens, don't let that deter you from what you might actually be doing correctly. Because it's just things are going to be highly, highly unpredictable for the foreseeable future. So, that said, let's get to some trade plan recaps and then let's do some new trade plans. All right, we've got Google here, member selected tickers from over the weekend. Google did get a dip down pretty close, almost a hit there of PT1 going into pre-market and then bounced there, but overall, it's given up all of those post ER gains that it was enjoying for a little bit there. This one is looking a little bit interesting. I mean, if you want to find some bullish names that aren't kind of hyper inflated right now, I'd say Google is probably one of them, and they just got their earnings report out of the way, and that earnings report was fairly positive. So just be careful as always in all things, especially given the kind of the current market conditions. But overall, I do kind of like Google as kind of a sleeper. This one could make a nice move if the markets do decide they want to continue to recover. Also looking like a little bit of a bull flag setting up here, maybe a bullish pennant setting up here. So watch for that kind of upper trend line here on the hourly to break. If it does, we could see this move up. I think we do. I mean, we do have a good confluence right there, so that would be a good first price target at about, what is that? Can I? Yeah, sure. We can change to IWM for sure. Unknown Reviews, right at about 163.18, and then from there, I think it could try to push as hard or as far as 169.26, but I would still be methodical about taking some profits there at 165.50. So kind of play the plan from there. But Google looking like it could have some potential and possibly an earlier entry. So keep that stuff on watch, mark your charts, set your alerts. If you've got Trade Plan Navigator, set that up. Make sure you got your alerts set to trigger and notify you when things are starting to develop in your favor. All right. So that's Google. We also did HIMS member selected trade plans. Let me get this one set up correctly. HIMS did have that big move up through pretty much all of our price targets and then some on that. Who was it? Novo Nordisk, I think, partnership that they just had. Novo Nordisk. So far we broke out through all of those price targets, came back tested PT3 as support there. Nice bounce off that PT3 support. So HIMS, this one has played out and then some, but could have been a good re-entry opportunity there at PT3 if you took it the first time on the way up. I would say if we get a dip and there is a decent little confluence down here, Though let me check it with the, got some slightly different settings that I'm tweaking here. It's interesting. But I think I might have it. Never mind. I'll worry about that later. Um, yeah, I'm liking this confluence down here right at about 33.50. That could be a really good spot to potentially take some shares. Look for this to move higher. Set your stops at 31.94 and go from there. So HEMS, again, we'd already talked about this one on Tuesday, but just wanted to circle back to it, especially with that kind of confirmation that this does want to stay bullish, and we've now flipped what was PT3 resistance to PT3 support pretty cleanly, I would say. All good signs for HEMS wanting to continue higher. NVIDIA was not on our list. It was SoFi. SoFi did report earnings, hit all of our price targets. It has since pulled back, gave a quick little dip down below there at the put entry, but pipe patterned right back to the upside. Does look like this one actually could be a really interesting opportunity for a re-entry if it does break back over 1304. So keep that on watch and go ahead and set your alerts at 1304 and then just trade the plan from there. 200 SMA confluence, we break through that. Let me just check the hourly real quick as well. Hourly starts to find some selling pressure there, is building up some bullish momentum. Just starting to flip it right there. But has room up to PT2 before we get into really any strong selling pressure there on the hourly. So combination of the 15 and the hourly looking pretty good as far as the room available to the upside here on SoFi. So keep that. What's up, K Money? Good morning. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. 1304, looking for a break back over that. I think puts the SoFi trade plan back in effect, so keep that on watch. SOXL, we sold some puts on this. It has moved up nicely overnight with Microsoft and some other positive earning. Who was it? Microsoft, Meta, Hood. I think were a few names that reported last night, so we'll take a quick look. In fact, I was watching Hood. I don't know. Yeah, they're gonna get. So this is something we talk about often. Apparently, I had a trade plan on Hood here previously between this range here at 46.17. It dipped yesterday, caught that level pretty cleanly, pushed up, rejected it, but now it's climbing over that call entry side. So Hood could start to get some legs, but they had pretty high expectations on their ER. I think it was a plus or minus 11% move with like 160% IV baked in. So watch, it'll be very interesting. You could probably even go to the options chain right now and pull up a Hood contract. Just pick anything calls on the call side. You could even pick $51 calls if you wanted to for even a couple of months out. Go ahead and kind of take note of what the options contract prices look like right now. Write that number down and then watch what happens when we hit the open. So we moved up 5% here. This is a great way to kind of get a little bit of a taste of IV crush or how it works and how to kind of keep that in mind as you do or do not decide to trade earnings reports. But yeah, find a contract on the options chain. Go ahead, mark down what the current price is. That's essentially still showing yesterday's closing price. And then see what it opens up at this morning on the call side. On the put side, obviously, they're going to get even worse because the price moved against them and they're going to get IV crushed. But on the call side, we've got a 5% up move, with that only being about half of the expected move or the implied move, and with the high amount of IV that there was on Hood options contracts. I'll be surprised if you don't see the call contracts, whichever one you pick on the options chain, they're going to take a pretty big haircut this morning. And so, yes, we moved up 5%, but 5% is still less than 11%. That's kind of the amount that was baked into those contracts going into that earnings report last night. And there was a high amount of implied volatility built in as well. So watch how that plays out by taking a look at those options contracts. And that should tell you all you need to know about holding options contracts through earnings reports. So Anyway, SOXL is not one of our existing trade plans though. So let's get to our Tuesday plans. We did Apple. Apple has yet to break out. Kind of interestingly, markets have been making some good moves. Apple's been kind of generally flat, I would say. 333 has caught up to it here on the 15-minute. 200 just overhead is kind of pinched between those two SMAs right now, but things looking overall bullish here on NTS. And looks like it might want to push higher. Call entry still at 215.02. Just want to take a quick look at this hourly and see if we've got any confluences or areas or whatever set up here. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that really changes my mind there. So yeah, keep an eye on this 15-minute. If we could break back over the 200 SMA on the 15-minute for Apple, that could be a sign that this might try to make a move at least up to that high a day from yesterday, and possibly even more. So keep an eye on Apple. It's definitely been a little bit sideways choppy, but um, you know, things are at a point where it's not overextended to the upside. Market looks like it wants to go higher. I'll be surprised if we don't see Apple try to follow suit and continue up with the markets. All right, so we just did Apple. Let's see what other ones we have from Tuesday's live stream plan. SMCI, they got dunked on when they announced that they were pulling back their guidance for their upcoming earnings report, which I don't think is it's only in 5 days, but I guess they've kind of gone ahead and gotten some of the negativity out of the way, which is interesting. It was an interesting call for them to go ahead and revise that guidance that close to their earnings report, but that revision, which dropped their estimates, I think by about $1 billion, which is pretty significant. Hey, what's up, Chris? Good morning to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, better late than never, my friend. Right. So as we see here, things pulling back on SMCI after announcing that adjustment to their guidance and what they're expecting their revenues to look like. I think again it was about $1 billion shift in their guidance on revenue. So SMCI wound up dumping and playing out for all of our price targets essentially after hours. So unfortunately, not a whole lot we could do there. But that PT3 does look like pretty solid support. We've had a couple of prints or quick pipe patterns down below it. Probably just one level down lower. I don't have all the levels on the chart, just our trade plan levels right now. But let's see if that is catching an existing support or resistance. If it is, it's not one that I've got marked. So anyway, I was just curious if that was an existing level. Do this real quick. Yeah. Get that out of the way. Makes life a lot easier. So anyway, SMCI played out, downside, good to go. All right, what was the other one? ASTS we also did on Tuesday's live stream. This is another one that we saw. See, this is where I've made one more adjustment. That right now, never mind. I'm pretty sure that we're gonna see after I publish this adjustment for NTS, it's going to catch that bounce. Again, I just made some adjustments to it. I think I needed to adjust a little bit further, then I think it'll be pretty dialed in for the current market conditions. So 2207, more than likely, given the slight adjustments I'm making to these volatility calculations, will have caught. That will be a confluence there once I get that fixed and published. But that is pushing to the upside off of that 2207 level, regardless of what's happening with NTS. That level held perfectly yesterday and has bounced from there. Still trying to push higher, but so far this plan, neither side has truly gone into effect unless you were clever and quick enough to catch that put entry as support there at 2207. You're up almost $1.60 off of that if you took that entry, so congrats there. All right. And then we've got last Thursday's plans. We did Boeing. This one has been playing out to the upside, hitting some price targets, gave us pretty close to a nice little back test there yesterday at 177.25 and has bounced since. So Boeing looking good on the bullish side, continuing up. We did Apple. I think Apple ERs today. That's good to know. I did not know that. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's right there, right in front of my face. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. That will be a very interesting one, and also very interesting because Apple does not provide guidance. It's something that they've never done. So it will be very interesting to see um, if and how they account for or discuss at all kind of the tensions with China and how that may or may not impact their business. Again, they're not going to give specific guidance, but it'll be interesting to see if they discuss any of that in their earnings call. That's for sure. Yeah, it looks like Long America yesterday. Yeah, we'll see. Again, it's very volatile, very unpredictable. Even though we are pushing up and we're having some solid days of gains, generally this type of overall market behavior indicative of bear market conditions, but I think also it's just a very unusual time for the markets with so much being able to that can be essentially changed in the span of 15 minutes as far as global economic policy. Those are things that don't tend to shift that massively or quickly in that shorter period of time. So this is certainly um, unprecedented is probably the best way to say it. All right, so we don't need to. That's like every SPY level known to man. I think we've got one more chart there. Let me just make sure. Let's see, we just did Apple and Boeing. Let's see, I think that's Boeing, that's Apple, Coin. That's right. I thought we did one more. Yeah, and this is another one that I think the update I'm getting ready to publish would have caught that bottom right there, although still catching that top. That's interesting. Yeah, I've got a little bit of homework to do on this to try to make sure that I'm catching these volatility calculations that I'm adding correctly. But overall, coin from a trade plan standpoint looks like it's breaking out to the upside. Might make a push for PT one up there at 212.35. So keep an eye on coin. And that does it for our recaps. All right, let's get to some new trade plans, some new ticker requests. We had unknown reviews asking for IWM. K Money wants to take a look at Tesla. Oh wait, no. Tony was in here. CMG, bright and early. So let's first come first serve, just like Chipotle. Unless you did a call-in order and then it's uh, show up and watch six people make it through the line while you wait for somebody to ask you your name and give you your food. At least the Chipotle I go to is terrible. Like why have the shelf and the order ahead option if you're not going to let me get to the shelf? I'm sure people were probably taking other people's orders either intentionally or by accident, but yeah, anyway, that's my one dig, my big dig on Chipotle is when I order ahead, I expect to be able to walk in, grab my food, and walk out. Not have to wait and watch a bunch of people make it through the line. I'm like, just gone through the line. I would have been faster. Never. Yeah. See. Well, my Chipotle. I don't know. I guess some people. It is pretty close to a high school. Like right beside this high school, and I know like the kids flood the Chipotle in the afternoons after school lets out. So I wonder if they were just having issues with people grabbing stuff off the pre-order shelf. So they stuck it back behind the line essentially, uh, and then you have to wait for somebody to ask you your name, and then they'll grab it off the shelf for you. Like what the fuck? Yeah, right. Yeah, like man, that says steak burrito on the receipt, and I'm hungry, and I'm in high school. I don't have a job. So yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. Again, that's my one. That's my dig. It's my old man gripe for the day. All right. Yeah, be right back. Let me just go grab this off the shelf. You can't be picky. You got to take what I find. All right, this trend is no longer a factor. Okay, let's figure out how we want to go after Chipotle. I did just have Chipotle yesterday, by the way, Chris. I'm constantly supporting your bullish Chipotle position. That what is it? Chipotle honey chicken or whatever, like the new thing. It's pretty good. I'm happy. It's good food. I like Chipotle. It's good. Yeah. It's kind of my go-to right now. They had the yeah. God, I'm really DV. I'm getting very personal right now, but I'm gonna start talking about my food orders. Um, yeah, for when they have that smoked brisket, I tend to go for that. But yeah, that honey chipotle chicken or whatever it's called, pretty solid. It's good stuff. All right, yeah, I'm looking at. You're good, buddy. I'm willing to let you guys into my inner workings of my brain and what I order at Chipotle. Sorry if that's a bit of an overshare. That's probably what I should say. All right. That PT2, PT3. Where you at? I wonder if this weekly level 509. I'm not moving it over 8 cents. I think that looks like a good third price target. All right, and then yeah, stop loss average right here. It's your upside trade plan. Downside. Let's see. This level could be adjusted or shifted just a little bit. Right about there. I'd say with that, we break it. I think that does confirm opportunity for downside on Chipotle. Obviously not what we're rooting for, right? Chris, you're bullish. Half that, half steak. Oh yeah, that's what's up. I like that. It's a good idea. Double meat combo. As long as they don't give you a chode burrito like I got that one time. That was I think I actually like almost, you know, went full Karen and like wrote a complaint. Like, what the fuck? What is this? This is not a burrito. This is a softball. Yeah, I do burrito bowls every once in a while. I do the salad too. That Chipotle honey vinaigrette's pretty solid as far as salads go. Every once in a while, you want a healthy option. Dang tortillas. All right. So we've got a Chipotle plan as I sat here and made myself hungry for ordering Chipotle 2 days in a row, potentially, while we talked about it. I gotta have some variety in my life. I'll go somewhere else. Sorry, Chris. I gotta switch it up today. But I will always support your Chipotle endeavors. Long Jersey Mike's, yeah. Does Jersey Mike's have a ticker? I just found out that Top Golf, I think it was Alexander, turned me on or uh yeah, told me about the yeah, dude. If I will tell you what, if Chick-fil-A ever goes public, bruh, buy shares, IPO as soon as you can, get into shares. I never seen a Chick-fil-A that didn't have a line wrapped around the building 24/7, and that a car goes through that line in like 5 minutes, even with that amount of traffic. I mean, they've got it. They got it figured out. All right. Yeah, 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 exactly. Everything's my pleasure. Very polite. The Lord's chicken. Yeah, again, my beef with them. Open up on Sunday, bro. That's the only knock I have on Chick-fil-A. That's, Sunday's always the day that you want it, right? The day that you can't have it is the day that you're like, man, had some drinks last night. Really use a chicken biscuit right now. Chick-fil-A's like, nope, we praying. All right. So here is our Chipotle live stream plan. Come on, select the rest of that. There we go. Boom for my YouTube folks. And let's get this over in the watch lists. All right, so what are we looking for here on Chipotle? Again, make sure to set your levels. If you don't have the trade plan navigator and you're an Xtrades member, hit me up, hit Chris up, let me know. We'll set you up free of charge as long as you're an Xtrades member. So you can set these trade plans up yourself and set all your alerts very easily. If you don't have this or you don't want this, put horizontal lines on your chart, set your alerts that way, but make sure that you have something that will notify you when it is time to take action on these trade plans. All right, so what are we looking for here on Chipotle? Oh, I forgot to grab my link. 1 second. Grab this. Speaking of alerts, copy message link. Let's lock this into our indicator template. Thursday live stream plan 1. Yes, I want to write it. Let's go ahead and set these alerts before I forget. JT. Regular trading hour. You don't want people getting notifications all hours of the day when it doesn't really, it's not useful or actionable. June 1st, we're going to go till next Thursday. Business. And this is our CMG Thursday live stream plan. All right, so what are we looking for here on Chipotle? We're looking for a break over 51.30. Sorry, I almost said 513. 51.30. Over 51.30, we're looking for targets at 52, 57, 53.83, and 55.01 with a stop loss average down at 50.54. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 48.97. That should bring targets at 47.89, 46.59, and 45.26 with a stop loss average down at 49.92. Those are your Chipotle live stream plans. Let's go. Do you chart SPY plan live? I do not chart the SPY plan live. No, I don't. It's a very hectic, all over the place. I've got a lot to look at. And generally, after I do these live streams, I don't have a lot of time to do it. But maybe that's something we can do one morning, kind of have that be the primary focus, maybe, of a live stream one day. It's, I've tried to explain it to people, and I think some of it is just how I read a chart. Because I can kind of talk people through what I kind of generally look for, but it kind of changes every day a little bit. So anyway, I'm not trying to avoid the question. Yeah, frequently asked questions. Will you do that live one day? All right. So let's see. Let's keep these ticker requests rolling. I do like the IWM ticker request actually from Unknown Reviews over on YouTube. I do want to see where IWM's at. This one could be an interesting one to watch. Already seeing an interesting confluence bounce there through the forest of levels that you see up there. It looks a lot crazier than it really is once we start to zoom in, I promise. Yeah, nice 200 SMA confluence bounce out of the bullish flag there, but Chris, you know what we're looking at here, my friend. 333 SMA, thing is a beast. Not only that, but I mean, look at this is why I love this 200 333 combo. I know I talk about it all the time. I you guys are probably sick of me talking about it, but you know, I've got all these other things that kind of help me dynamically gauge my trades, and it's really, you know, Confluence is really what I kind of would consider like multi-factor trading. I've got my levels, I've got my things that I've done myself on my chart, and analyzed, you know, using my ability to read price action. Then you start to combine that with, you know, some indicators, some things that are calculated automatically, take all your bias out of the equation. Um, and so, you know, when I built NTS, that was kind of my focus, is, you know, finding ways, finding essentially things that will help me trace momentum, and buy and sell pressure dynamically. But, you know, that's, and Neptune's very complex, but then you got things as tried and true and as probably as close to as old as the market is. Well, probably not the market, but as old as candlestick charts are, at least. Um, you know, and that's things like moving averages, right? Super simple, basic stuff. Literally, the word simple is in SMA, simple moving average. And this is the 333 200 combo, right? And here you can see, I mean, rejection, 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 all that pressure right there at the 333 SMA, setting up, you know, just every time, lots of good short opportunities, brings you right down to the 200 bounces. But I mean, it's literally creating a channel between those two moving averages. And these are the two that are in Neptune by default. I've been watching these for years. So don't take my word for it. Put them on your chart, give them a try. Um, if you don't have a good indicator for moving averages, ultimate moving averages, I'm happy to give folks access to that as long as you're a paying Xtrades member. So anyway, I got on a little bit of a spiel there about the 333, but it is such a clutch moving average. 200 crossing back above here on the hourly. Again, I think the new testing version of NTS, this is going to still be bullish. So I'm going to kind of keep that in mind. All right. So what do we want to do with IWM? Sure, I will. I don't know if I'll be able to give you a full plan on it, but I at the very least should be able to give you a quick input read on Amazon. I'm sure I'm not even going to get to all the tickers we already got, but I will. I'll try to at least give everybody some quick insights on the ones that we don't get full trade plans in for. So for IWM, I think there's an entry over this 197.33 level. Sorry, I'm just looking to see if I like anything any earlier than that. But I think we get a little bit better confirmation. And IWM is not one that, it's been a while since I've looked at or analyzed IWM, like a long while. Probably December of last year, would be my guess. So let me upload adjustments here real quick. Old trade plan stuff in here, old trend lines in here. Clean this up real fast. All right. Oops. Oh, no, I was good with that. Yeah, all right. So what I'm looking at here on IWM is this 197.87 level. I think if we can get back over that, IWM has an opportunity to try to push higher. Do like, well, I'm guessing that's 196.54. It's a stop loss. I think this level is just a little bit lower. Yeah, like right there. And with that adjustment, I like that as a first price target. second target, we haven't been back up. Yeah, I was gonna say we haven't been back up through that range since we played down through this. So let me take a look. I think there's pretty good room up to 201.10 after that. I think 202.66. Yep, for sure. Okay. Those are upside targets. Good to go. This could be a shared stop loss. Average down setup. I do still like this. No, we're below that. That's not going to work. Should have looked at where the price action is currently. That would be good. Okay, so not there. Where inputs look really interesting. I think this is a tough one actually. I'm gonna have to go back forever to try to find more price action in that range. I'm not gonna do that. Let's keep it moving. All right, make a call. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with my gut on this one, and it's a little bit of a gut call. Could be potentially earlier entry, but I'm gonna go with 192.60 playing out for a potential retest of this bottom that hit right off of that 190.75 level. We could revisit that at least room down there before we get to any of the SMAs or anything. That's also about where I expect the updated version of NTS to be sitting as well. So that's also going to be important. So yeah, I do like that setup. Do then like 194.11 as a stop. So next targets, I think there is a level here. Definitely. I don't have it though. Yeah. But and I do want to come back and take a look at this further. Not in a time constraint, but I do like that 188.75 second price target, third target to the downside. Let's take it down to this weekly level here at 186.87. All right, so let's punch this in, clean up our charts, walk up, or talk ourselves through this plan one last time. 654, put entry 192.60. There we go. 90.75, 875, and 186.87. Stop loss average down at 194.11. No shared stop loss average down. Cool. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Tight, tight, tight. So, this is our IWM trade plan, live stream plan. Right, and also in watch list. All right, so what are we looking for here on IWM? We are looking for a break over 197.87. That should bring targets at 199.63, 201.10, and 202.66 with a stop loss average down at 196.54. Downside, we're looking for a break below 192.60 to revisit 190.75, 188.75, and 186.87. Shared or not shared with a stop loss average down at 194.11. Let's lock this into our template. Thursday live stream 2. Remember symbol. Yep. Set our alert. Oops. Let's regular trading hours. Get our link in, which I did grab. Set our alerts. There we go. Let's go with 30 minutes. Next week. And this will be our WM Thursday live stream. Create those alerts. Okay, so I had a couple of requests to take a quick look at some things. Let's see. I saw AVGO and Tesla, so let's take a quick look at both of those. K Money. Pilot levels are at a different spot. Our new Tesla level. So Tesla's still under this downtrend, and when I say under this downtrend, it's been under this downtrend for, I don't know, it seems like forever. Going back to December of last year. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And I've been talking about this trend line, I think last week and this week. You know, gotta watch out for this one. It's going to be a great short opportunity, even with this big post earnings report run, and I think the announcement of some cheap vehicle or something like that. This trend line ain't giving up, right? So keep an eye on that. Tesla really needs to break over that. At this point, a break over 291.21, where we kind of topped out, found some resistance there on Tuesday. I'd say over that 291.21, you've got bullish opportunities. I'd say below 265.24, I'd be going bearish. So make sure that you know, you mark those levels there. K Money, keep them on watch. Wait a second, he's not even in the chat anymore. What the hell, bro? Okay, well, you guys get the benefit that K Money dipped out on. But yeah, I'd be looking for a breakover. And if you want even better confirmation, there is a weekly level there at 297.09. Yeah, can't come on, bruh. Giving me ticker requests to work on and then just bouncing out. It ain't no thing. All right, these would be the key levels I would watch for upside and downside. Yeah, opening up. I'll mark these on the chart. Hopefully this is easy enough for y'all to see. We'll expand this out. Those would be your entries. You know, and just try to see if you can't figure out your own targets and stop loss. Well, let me do this. I'll at least give you guys the stop loss. How about that? Stop loss for, yeah, I would use this weekly as a stop for the upside, this daily as a stop for the downside. There you go. You got your entries, you got your stop losses. Choose your own adventure on the price targets. Great books as a kid. You guys probably don't know it. Showing my oldness. Publish this over in the YouTube chat as well. All right. And then what was the other one? I think it was AVGO. Didn't I see somebody ask for that? Yeah, John's. John's still here? Yes, he is. Okay. All right. Sick of helping these people. They don't stick around to the end. I'm kidding. Yeah, this is why we actually talked about AVGO not too long ago. I think it was on maybe Tuesday's live stream or something like that. This is one that I really like ever since it broke out of this downtrend, and it's looked great ever since then. Nice bounce there off of NTS. Again, I bet you the adjusted NTS, this level right here, probably catch that wick perfectly. Just a guess. And I'll get that published ASAP. I'm still testing it a little bit, but it's also looking a little bull flag key. It is up through all the price targets from the last plan I did on it, which I don't know how long ago that was. I would say at this point, if you're not already in, AVGO needs to get, Broadcom needs to get over this 199.74, call it 200. I think over 200, it looks pretty decent. So over that, looks pretty solid to continue higher. I think it does have some pretty good room if it breaks over that, but I will also give you a stop loss on this. And that stop loss is going to be 195.53. So these blue levels are your key levels for the upside. Just real quick, again, let you pick your price targets. Downside, I wouldn't be leaning too hard toward the downside, but gosh dang it, I keep grabbing that text color instead of that. I like that 190.13 as a entry, 193.08 as a stop. I'll let you figure out the rest from there. So let's do this. Can I like these levels, isn't it? Quick. Where is it? Oh, all right. Oh, I didn't grab it. That's why. That one. There we go. Boom. All right. So there's your AVGO key levels I would watch. Upside, downside, and stops. You figure out where to take profits. Just make sure that you're looking for targets that are larger than the amount of risk you're assuming on the trade. That's the best advice I can give you. So here is your AVGO, just kind of quick chart. No problem, unknown reviews. Let me get this over here in the morning live stream. Yeah, right. Good seeing you guys. All right, so we are getting very close to the market open. Less than 10 minutes doesn't give me much time to work up this SPY plan, so I need to go get to work on that. Keep your eyes on the schedule for these live streams in the month of May. There is definitely going to be at least 1 week, if not a couple of weeks, where I'm going to be totally tied up with trying to move my offices, and probably not going to have any free time in the mornings for anything, including doing these live streams. So I will try to communicate that as far up front as I possibly can. So, kind of expect them to take place on schedule, but know that there's going to be some blackout periods coming up this month where, I'm not going to be available, essentially. So, but I'll do my best to communicate that to everybody. So keep your eyes on our YouTube calendar and schedule for live streams there. Keep your eyes on the events for the chat and the events on the Xtrades app. I'll make sure to try to keep everything adjusted and updated through those channels as I possibly can, so I don't have folks showing up for a live stream that's not going to happen. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining me. I've got to fly through this SPY plan here this morning, but I'll get it done. So as we always say here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades, trade your plans, keep your wins big, keep your losses small. What was our new one? Something about patience and profits or something like that. I'll have to go back and rewatch the stream. I feel like we came up with a new slogan that was pretty good and I already forgot it. Yeah, it must not have been that good. All right, time in the market. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll go back and watch my own stream to remember what it was. I thought it was clever, but apparently it wasn't. Was not memorable enough. All right, everybody, have a great day. I'm going to go get the SPY plan together and in the chats for you. I will see you guys next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Until then, take care. Have a good one. Trade smart, trade safe. See you soon.